I'm going to discuss a program I wrote called Grand Tour Flight Planner. This program is free. It runs under Windows 10. You can find it at my website. Also at my website you can read the user's guide. This program generates flight plans for the latest version of Microsoft Flight Simulator. When you start up the application, you will see this window. Here is where you can make a short trip. You do that by picking a target in one of these windows. The application will find that target. It will find the closest airport to that target and then make you a flight plan that goes from the airport over the target and then back to the airport. The target in these two boxes, USA, states, and countries, will be a city. You click on one of these items in one of these boxes and it will locate the capital of either the state or the capital of the country, and that's the city that it makes a flight plan for. The first box is a little bit different in that the target is not necessarily a city, but more likely some train that's interesting for some reason. Maybe it's very scenic, maybe it's dangerous to fly an airplane into or out of, or it could just be a monument, a famous monument. Now, once you pick one of these targets, which I'll do now, let's say we'll go to Greece. Let's see, here is Greece. And we click on the Make Country Trip, and we see the flight plan that results. The flight plan contains the nodes, waypoints in the trip, the bearing to the next waypoint, and the distance to the next waypoint. As you can see, this is a short trip. It's only 15.8 nautical miles, so you could fly that fairly quickly. Now, once you look at the flight plan, you can go to the map and see the actual flight as it's laid out on the map, and that looks like this. Now, on this map, you can zoom in, of course, and zoom out, and this is the nearest airport to the capital of Greece, which is Athens. And you can home in and take a good look at the airport, and you can see the runway, and you can see the downtown Greece, which is where this was placed, and you can home in and look around. And the idea is that you would fly over this city and take your time, fly all over it, and then fly back to the airport when you're done. In this way, you can visit a lot of cities all over the world and fly into and out of a lot of different airports, and it can give you a good experience in just a short period of time in Microsoft's Flight Simulator. Now, from the map page, we can make a longer trip than we could from the previous page. Let's suppose we want to make a trip from Milwaukee to San Francisco. This waypoint box can contain all sorts of different things, and generally speaking, the map will find what we put in here. So let's put in Milwaukee, and we see that it found Milwaukee. Now, we can't fly out of the downtown Milwaukee. We need an airport, so let's find the closest airport to this waypoint, and we do that by clicking on this item. And here is the Milwaukee airport. And now that we've found the airport, we don't need this waypoint that's in the middle of town. So let's remove that. And let's set this as the beginning of our trip, so that is the first position. Now, we can use a similar technique to find San Francisco, but I happen to know the airport in San Francisco is, its code is KSFO. And sure enough, it found the San Francisco airport. So we're going to set this as the last position in our route. And now you can see that we've got a long route here from Milwaukee to San Francisco. And you can see that if you look at the result, it's some 1,598 nautical miles long. That's way too long for a small airplane to fly. If we fly in a Cessna, it's got a range of, say, around 500 miles. So what we need is some airports in our route. So let's go back to the map. And we can easily add some airports by clicking this button to find the airports. Now we've got some airports that are probably roughly 400 miles apart from each other. And we've got a way to get from Milwaukee to San Francisco in our airplane. And we can look at the result again. And here we see we've got the longest leg is roughly 400 nautical miles, and we've only got 5 nodes to travel. Now let's go back to the map, and let's suppose instead of flying out of Milwaukee directly, let's suppose we want to take a little tour of Milwaukee. I happen to have lived in Milwaukee, and I used to live at 3034 Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee. And there's where I used to live, and I went to school at UWM, the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee, so let me see if the map can find that. And that's where the university is. And finally, suppose we went to the zoo. We'll go to the Milwaukee Zoo. And there's the zoo. Now, when you add a waypoint to the map in this way, it puts it at the end, and that's not what we want. It wouldn't make sense to go to San Francisco and then come back. So we can click on the Optimize Mapped Path, and we'll see that now it has done a nice job of straightening out our path. We're going from Milwaukee to our scenes, and then we're going on to San Francisco. Now this map, in addition to being able to put in waypoints and so forth, place names, you could put in a monument, you could put in all sorts of stuff in this box.
Take a
break.
break.
Chances are pretty good that the map will find it. The map can also show you the roads, and you can add another waypoint to the map just by double clicking. So let's suppose for some reason we wanted to fly over the intersection of a couple of streets, say here. So we'll double click here, and you can see that it added a waypoint. And once again, we want to straighten the route out by clicking on Optimize Path. And if we were to look at the result again, we would see that it's got all of our waypoints in it now. Now from this final map screen, you would save the plan, and it would copy it to wherever you wish. And then you could start up Microsoft Flight Simulator and load the plan into that. That's all I have to say about this planner, this flight planner. Microsoft Flight Simulator is a very rich program. It can teach you how to fly in all sorts of various conditions in all sorts of airplanes. But additionally, it's close to a photographic realization of the entire Earth. So you can also use Microsoft Flight Simulator to go to places you've never been and have a pretty good idea of what they're going to look like, at least from the air. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you find a use for my flight planner.